typical situation where one tiny slip and somebody loses a piece. It will become a more strategic situation where both players are trying to consolidate their attacks on opposite sides of the board.
Yeah, so on 11s, just as you expected, the horse was pulled and is therefore hostage. And also the gold camel is also under threat because either a silver piece, more likely the cat, could move on to b6, and then the elephant would drag the camel in next turn if it were silver's move. So it would appear, as of course Hippo said in the chat room, that it would be forced for gold's elephant to come along to d6 to protect that. But as you were just saying, Fritz, that consolidation means that there are no one-move spectacular means to be had here. But both of gold's home traps are defended by two pieces each. So any large gain by either player is at least one move away. And so that situation means that it's going to be... The game is slowing down a little bit more now that gold has consolidated and removed some of the tactical dangers of his position. And of course, as I was speaking, we had 12G as well, where gold did make that move, as we could see, that he would have to. And he's also taken the opportunity to make a small rabbit advance on the A file. So whose position do you prefer now, Patrick?
Well, I still prefer the silver position right now, because there are a lot of opportunities to attack. Not everyone good, maybe, but at least they are there.
Yes, as we were speaking, we just had a 12S with silver making rabbit advance on the A file, and also making a move with the camel down towards the horse on G3. And if there's any immediate disadvantage of gold's position, it is of course that his elephant is very definitely committed to the D6 square, the C6 trap square area. And I suppose the reason why silver is doing this camel move now is that gold cannot afford to move away with his elephant unless there's going to be any clear payoff, unless he can clearly capture the silver camel in return. And even if the silver camel were hanging in such a way that the gold elephant would be able to hostage it fairly tightly, still, even after the exchange, I'm not sure that gold would be in a good position. So again, we see silver is gradually grinding out the advantages from gold, and gold seems to be increasingly tied down to certain set-piece positions. So where do you think gold should go from here, Fritz?
It was, as you say, a difficult position because the silver, the gold camel couldn't, the gold elephant couldn't leave for fear of the camel being, the gold camel being attacked, being captured in C6. And if the gold camel had left, that had just like switched over to the F6 side, let's say, to attack the other trap, it represents a loss of time. And so silver was going to be able to get something going around the F3 trap. And notice how silver, although he wants to attack the F3 trap, he was very careful on 12S to use one step to put a rabbit on A5. The rabbit on A5 preventing a gold rabbit from getting into A5, unfreezing the gold horse and getting getting another defender for the C6 trap. So what silver has done here on 13G is threatened to break off the attack entirely and use the gold camel to take the silver horse hostage. So gold was unhappy with the dueling attacks, feeling that his position maybe wasn't offering so much, with him attacking C6. Too many pieces committed, his camel committed perhaps to the attack, and now he suddenly doesn't want his camel committed to the attack because it's tying down his elephant. And now saying, well, I'd like to get my camel home along the B file. I think that silver can prevent the camel from getting home along the b-file. And actually, I'm like Patrick. I'm starting to like the silver position.
Well, yes, it reminds me of something that I once read about chess, whereby when you have a very good player against a not so good player, although of course Adanac is a very good player, that's not what I mean. What I was just saying was that what can happen is that all the grandmaster needs to do is play a very general strategy, because what he does is he waits for his opponent to come up with an idea, and then just shows him what's wrong with it. And in this game so far, it seems almost as if Adanac has tried to do something from the opening position, and the more he tries to do something, the more he seems to be getting himself into trouble. The past two moves have just happened in very quick succession as we were speaking. In fact, Adanac moved in only 16 seconds in 14G. 13S was moving the gold horse up to G4, dragging it up with the camel, and then plonking the silver horse on that sweet spot, G3. And then immediately on 14G, because I'm sure this is what Adanac was expecting, he moved, shifted around with the pieces, replacing the horse with the camel. But now on 14S, Silver has lost a dog in F3. So, of course, all the tactics are flying here. And I'm not sure whether or not this represents a blunder on the part of Adanac or not. Is that a blunder, Fritz?
Yes, 14G was a blunder. I'm sure Adanac is kicking himself for moving so quickly, because he saw that he was threatening a horse. He must not have seen that it was not a horse for a dog, or he might have been even happy with a horse for a dog and a cat. I'm sure he didn't see that when he lost his dog, he would lose his horse too, that it would be the camel making the second capture for Silver. So I think there's no way around it that 14G was a tactical blunder. Adanac was just too excited that he was getting his strategic goal of getting his camel out of the attack back down the B file, and just didn't see this tactic far enough ahead.
Yes, exactly.
You're going, Patrick.
Sorry, I mean exactly. Jean just won a cool dog here. A dog for nothing.
Well, yes, and I think that is a shame that Greg did make his move quite so quickly. Maybe he would have made that calculation and spotted it, because, well, as we've just seen on 15S, this gold dog has now been lost on the F3 trap square, and Silver's threatening two more captures around that square. So, of course, so we'll have to see how Greg tries to get himself out of this position. It's increasingly looking likely that we are witnessing the last game, the deciding game of the 2011 World Championships, because going into this game, the situation was that if chessandgo, if Jean won this game, he would be the champion, whereas Greg would need 2 straight wins to usurp the position of Arimaa World Champion. But yes, so we will have to see what he tries to do here. Possibly, the gold elephant could move down from D6, where he is no longer needed, to try and threaten the silver dog on C4, perhaps. But still, it's looking very hard for gold at the moment. How would you salvage this position as gold, Fritz? Of course, remembering we've just had 16G, where gold has made the sort of move I was just talking about.
Yes, so I didn't see anything better than moving the gold elephant into the E3 square, and moving the gold elephant into the E3 square was quite hopeless. So I didn't see anything better than a bad move. This threatening a dog, Silver is happy with the material advantage. He's happy to trade the dog for a cat and a rabbit. So silver doesn't even have to think in order to find a good move here, which is to get a cat and a rabbit in exchange for his dog. So if the silver camel swings the cat into f3, leaving the gold horse where it is, then the gold elephant can capture the silver dog, but that leaves only 2 steps to defend f3. And if he defends f3 by running away with his rabbit, the silver rabbit coming all the way down to g2 is quite crushing. But that's not silver's only option. He can certainly use 2 steps to defend his dog by getting the dog to the side and the elephant up to c3, and then 2 steps to advance the rabbit down the g file. I just want to point out how clever it was. Jean, whenever I win something material, I'm so happy, I just take my advantage and don't even think about it. I would have captured the gold horse ending with my camel on g3. And it was very clever for Jean to leave g3 as a square for his rabbit to get into. So leaving the camel, ending with the camel on f4 was very accurate. It's so nasty the way Jean, when he gets an advantage, he not only gets the advantage, but he gets a little bit more than you would think. By leaving the camel on f4, now the rabbit can come into g3, and there's no gold piece over there to dislodge the rabbit out of g3.
So, yes, so clearly Silver's really got the game in his grasp there. So there's no rabbit move just yet, but then Silver doesn't need to. He's been just picking off that cat, although we had been wondering whether or not he might do something else.
Yes,
and meantime, Gold has taken the dog, and whereas he now has something really big to think about. 17s. There was 4 rabbit moves just straight down into g2. And that's looking very frightening from Gold's perspective. Are there any forced goals here? Patrick, what do you think?
I mean, I was thinking of the rabbit all the way down, which he did. That's very devastating.
So did you just have 18G there? I think I must not have it yet. What would be your assessments of this position now, Fritz?
Well, we're getting into a goal attack position, which I'm not. It's not my forte. So my instinct would be to lose a step in the goal attack, to have the rabbit on g3. Because if the silver rabbit were now on g3, there would be no capture threat from gold. It would be an extra piece defending the trap. But of course, it would be a step further away from goal. There's a trade-off that you see often like this as the position becomes sharp or at the end of the game, in which the best goal attacking move, here advancing the rabbit from g3 to g2 on the last step of Silver's 17s, the best goal attacking move is not the best trap control move. And so you by positioning your pieces for the goal attack, you're giving something up.
Very much so. So we've just had 18s, whereby Silver's used his dog to unfreeze his camel, moving the camel back over to f4, thereby preventing any immediate captures by gold around f3. Meanwhile, we see that Silver's elephant hasn't moved recently, so we're wondering whether or not it might come down towards d4. But it really does look as though Gold's going to have to pull something out of the bag here to try and make his position more secure. Because he could, I can't really see what he can do if he tries to menace the camel. By pushing it along to g4 or back to f5 and putting his own infant on f4, then it means he's too far away from the horse to actually do something. Of course, I'm reminded of the fact that the piece that goes for the horse should be a camel. When I look over at Gold's camel over on B3, but really it's very hard for the camel to get through. Even if the cat were to step forward onto C3, trying to open the way for the camel to push